Hey guys, Ali Hitch here, owner of Dream Body Bootcamp and fat loss specialist. So that means I am the one who motivates people, who helps them burn tons of fat and keeps them going when the times get tough. So today, I mentioned it in another video where we talked briefly about this fat burning zone and the fat burning myth and the fact that it is true and it isn't true. So now with the help of a few numbers, I'm going to help explain it a little bit better so that you can understand what we were talking about in the other video. And the other video was talking about training intensity and why you should train a lot harder and over a shorter amount of time rather than going for a longer distance and going at a slower intensity. So in that example, I was using running or sprinting and jogging. So let's use the numbers to help us understand this. So at low intensity, which is the top bit up here, we're sort of making up some numbers. So the percentages we'll get to in a sec, these are fairly accurate, but let's make up these numbers. So let's say you burn 100 calories in an hour from doing some low intensity exercise. So for this example, we could use running. Let's use running as that example. Now, if you were going to run with a jog at 55 to 75 intensity, so that's how hard you're working essentially, we use different fuels. And we'll ignore proteins for the sake of this. We'll just talk about fats and carbs. We use different fuels in different ways depending on what work we're doing. So when we work at lower intensity, the percentage of energy of the total amount that we use. So let's say we use 100 calories. The percentage of the 100 calories is far more in fat than it is in carbs. So to help understand that, we've made it really simple. We're going to say it's 80% that we get from fat and 20% that we're going to use from the carbs that we have stored in our body. So essentially, when that comes to total calories burned, that would be 80 calories burned of fat and 20 calories burned from the use of carbs. And remember, this is over 1 hour. So this is 100 calories burned over 1 hour. 80 would be from carbs, 20 from fat. So this is the ratio. Remember, that's low intensity. So now let's move on to high intensity. So we're talking 80 to 90% of work. So that's working really hard. So let's think of it back to our other example. Let's think sprinting. So when we work at a much higher intensity, the ratio of energy comes from different places. So for the sake of this and to help understand it, we just totally flip that around. So now, instead of 80 from carbs, we now going to have, 80 from fats, we now have 20 from fat and 80 from carbs. So we've switched these two totally around. And these numbers aren't far off the actual numbers in terms of ratios. We've just done this to make it easy to understand the concept of it. So 20% from fat and 80% from carbs when you get to 80 to 90% intensity. This is why, and a particular example is when you look on these running machines or treadmills or bike machines, they have these little stickers on them that talk about the heart rate and the right training intensity for the fat burning zone. So when they say the fat burning zone, they're talking about the type of or the intensity of exercise that will burn the highest percentage amount of fat that we can get, which does make sense, which is where the truth comes from it. But let's go back to our high intensity. If we were going to do 20 to 30 minutes of this high intensity exercise, let's say we burn 500 calories in that time. So already it's half the time and we've burnt 5 times as many calories as the low intensity, which is natural. The harder you work, the more you're going to burn. But now let's go back to the type of fuel that we're using. So if I only use 20% of fats and 80% of carbs, we're thinking, well, that's far less efficient in terms of burning fat than our low intensity exercise, but it comes down to the total number of calories that we've burnt. So because we've burnt 500, even though only 20% of that fuel comes from fat, we're still burning 100 calories from fat, essentially. Yes, 400 from carbs, just because of the ratio and how much more we're burning, but we are still burning more fat than if we were doing low intensity exercise. So we're burning 20 more fat than this low intensity exercise. So if we do that continuously, day by day, week by week, these will add up very, very quickly. and you'll see that fat will just start shredding off. And this is, I think, and hopefully a lot of you agree, because it's a shorter amount of time, it's much more intense, it might be harder work at the time, but it's way more fun as well. You get way more out of it, whereas this could be viewed as quite monotonous and it takes a lot longer. So it may be more efficient, you know, theoretically, but actually, because we're doing more work, this is a better way to burn that fat, because we don't have to spend so much time to do it. So hopefully the use of those maths does help understand the concept. Again, these aren't exact, they're pretty close but not exact. It was just to help you understand the concept of why the high intensity interval training, the kind of stuff we're going to be doing at Dream Body Bootcamp, is so much more effective, and why we can do it in 30-minute sessions, because all of our sessions are 30 minutes rather than an hour. Because that is an extra half an hour we just don't need to be, not say wasting in the gym, but we just don't need to be spending it. We can use our time more efficiently and still burn more fat. So if you still don't understand that, or there are some questions you have about it, just send me a message, give me a call, give me a text, whatever, and we'll chat about it, and hopefully we can help understand this a little bit better.